But let's talk about this first story. It's a Friday night, everybody, and we're going to make sure that you're getting only the best of entertainment.
Highbrow.
We were like, should we talk about Joe Biden and the nuclear code? Very serious. And then Luke was like, we got to talk about the Chinese shoving stuff up U.S. diplomats' butts. And I said, I don't know if it's the most important story in the world, but it's certainly entertaining.
Well, we were talking about this story. I mean, I came in here. I was like, do you guys believe this is happening? And I went off on a tangent. And I was very elaborative about it. And you thought this was a joke.
Yeah. I was like, man, this guy and his metaphors. This is fantastic.
I'm like, no.
It's hitting. It's gripping. I'm like, God, I wonder what the diplomats have.
Yeah.
What was this?
Yeah,
happening.
mainstream media news, U.S. official asks China to not subject their staff to COVID behind probes that go inside of you. And of course, the Chinese response was very telling at first. They were like, no, this never happened. I don't know what you guys are talking about. They denied it. Now they're saying, oh, this was done in error, and we promise it won't be ever done again.
Well, so here's what happened. The State Department's pissed. All right, we have the story from The Hill. State Department says it never agreed to China giving U.S. diplomats COVID-19 anal tests. They say Chinese officials who forced American diplomats to undergo bum swabs for COVID-19 did so in error. The State Department told The Hill on Thursday as Beijing denies it conducted the tests at all. The Washington Post reported last week that U.S. officials had said some American personnel in China complained that they were being subjected to anal swab tests for coronavirus by Chinese authorities. This is so obvious what they're doing. They're doing this to subjugate and humiliate. Yeah, what they're doing makes no sense.
They're going to clone them.
Well, it depends.
With what?
The DNA?
From the poop?
No.
The DNA from the butt?
Yeah, I think
From
it's
the
more than
butt?
that. I think
Yeah,
no.
right.
Ian is onto something.
Yeah, you're right.
Because there was official U.S. government sources coming out just a few days ago talking about how China was trying to get the COVID tests that were used in order to get DNA samples from Americans so they could better predictively predict the market and dominate it in the pharma industrial complex game. Yes, I'm not kidding you.
Yeah.
So China now is on this huge rampage of them trying to get as much information as they can. They understand information is the new oil. They've been on this huge race trying to get as much as they can because they know, hey, if we get everyone's DNA, we're going to know what they're going to get sick of in the future. We're going to know what ailments they're going to have. We're going to know what pills to make, what medicine to make to sell it back to the United States at a cheaper profit that we're going to mass produce, and we're going to outcompete the other competitors in this larger pharma industrial complex. So this was a legit thing that they're talking about. And there's a reason politicians bring their own toilets when they visit other countries. The information you could get from your is extremely important, and many politicians literally, I mean, there's reasons Secret Service literally has a detail, probably ones with the bad political opinions, but the Secret Service has a detail that is in charge of collecting the president's poop to make sure a foreign country doesn't get it, because if they do, they'll look the story up. Yep,
that's
I'm telling you. So this is more than just ridicule, in my opinion. It wouldn't surprise me if these larger butt probes were done in a way to get the DNA of U.S. diplomats in some kind of larger information grab that, of course, the Chinese will use to their advantage in their fifth generational warfare, larger propaganda efforts that they're in charge of. So, yeah, a lot of this stuff is real. I've been talking about this for years. People have been looking at me like you're crazy. I'm like, they're going into your behinds. Watch your behinds for years.
All
I'm
right,
like,
Alex.
oh, you're kidding. You're just I'm like, I'm not joking. Like, I'm telling you, this is coming. And this little thing with the diplomats is only going to, of course, be the start of this, since they're going to be expanding this, and other countries are going to recognize, we can get everyone's DNA. Let's get it.
We got to fact check. They don't go around collecting the president's poop because they're scared of people collecting it. They bring secure portable toilets for the president for security reasons.
Yes.
Because if the president's like in a mall bathroom or whatever, it's like it's a security risk.
Another risk is, of course, people getting information on the president from the inside of the poop. Lydia,
Luke is correct. From NPR, China wants your DNA and may already have it.
Yeah. Yep.
I saw that go by. Yeah.
They say as COVID cases began to rise a year ago, a Chinese company contacted several U.S. states and offered to set up testing labs. As a byproduct, the Chinese firm, Beijing Genomics Institute, would likely gain access to the DNA of those tested. The offer was tempting for states struggling to set up their own testing facilities for a new virus on short notice.
Right.
But U.S. national security officials urged the states to reject the offer, citing concerns about how China might use personal data collected on Americans. Quote, "We certainly reached out to our partners and the community to make sure people were aware that the Chinese were pushing out these tests. informing them of what the risks were, and really asking them not to take the tests, said Mike Orlando, the head of the National Counterintelligence and Security Center, which is part of the Office of the Director of National Intelligence. As far as I know, they all turned them down. So there's actually a bunch of stories about this. They've been trying to get access to American DNA.
Have you guys ever used those 23andMe tests?
Yeah, it's the same idea.
I've never taken them. Have you guys? Have you taken them before?
No, my brother did recently though, so I guess all my DNA is out
you're
there.
in. Yeah, you're.
I just don't. I don't know if it's a big deal, but I don't want to speed up the process if it might be. So I just haven't.
No, it's a huge deal.
This is crazy. From Newsweek, China wants your DNA and it's up to no good. From Gordon G. Chang, an author. This is from November of 2020, and he says, "Why does China want such sensitive data? Beijing is determined to dominate the biotech industry. Beijing may also be developing biological weapons designed to target certain ethnic groups."
Yep, I had that. I had that in my list. I was waiting to talk about that because, again, we have to understand it's not just the pharma industrial complex that's going to be screwed over if China gets all of our DNA. That's going to outbid them and know what people are going to be sick of and know what the demand is in the big pharma markets. But it's also bioweapons that, of course, could be used, could be genetically engineered to specifically go after individuals with a specific genotype and only affect them. So this is larger biological warfare stuff that, of course, is being studied, being conducted. A lot of it the United States is paying for, but a lot of it is ending up in the hands of the Chinese, which is absolutely perplexing, mind-boggling, and infuriating to find out. I mean, Dr. Fauci was literally responsible and was one of the bigger founders behind that level 3 Wuhan laboratory inside of China. Not many people want to talk about this, but they were doing gain of function data studies on the coronaviruses linked to bats, specifically talking about how they can engineer them. Again, not trying to come up with any theories here. I'm just stating some facts that were talked about by the U.S. mainstream media and admitted to them. I'm not jumping to any conclusions, but it's an important fact to understand here that this did happen.
I mean, New Yorker had a piece that explored this concept, right? And I think one of the things that we probably don't give China enough credit for is they are evaluating different ways of fighting asymmetric warfare, of thinking about ways that they can get a jump on the United States, and that's everything from building new battleships to exploring the ways that they can use biological weapons and biological
exploring
tools.
the rectums of these U.S.
Yes.
diplomats.
And speaking
Lots
of
of
exploring,
exploration,
yeah.
yes.
And Tim, I'm also with you, I think, on your earlier point, too, because I think some of this is just a power game, right?
Yeah.
I'm reminded of how during the Cold War, the U.S. State Department, this is back when we were tough and good at things, I think, a long time ago in U.S. foreign policy, the Russia desk would only hire diplomats from the United States who were men who were over 6 feet, because they wanted to make sure that there was a better chance that they would be able to physically look down on their Russian counterparts.
Wow.
Psychological.
So much of it is, I mean, think about it. Like it's just a giant game of chess, at least to the state. As far as the State Department sees the world, so much of it is just a big chess game. And so why not have every advantage you can?
But think about this too. Like China has no shame. They want to win, and they'll do whatever it takes.
Exactly.
Even looking in the butts of our diplomats. And I know it's funny, but this is serious too, because we wouldn't do that for the most part. The United States probably isn't even thinking about having someone open up, spread their cheeks and then take a sample.
Yeah.
But China knows there's things we'll learn and secrets we'll gain access to by understanding the diets, the gut biomes of these people.
Right.
And if they can produce look, we know that like gut bacteria is very important. What if they're thinking, can we craft something that is a detriment to American diet gut bacteria?
Easy.
And that causes Americans to become bloated and tired? It's a hypothetical.
Well,
But seriously, there's a lot you can learn from this.
Sickle cell anemia
Yes.
notoriously was harming the African American population
Still does, yeah.
for whatever reason. It's not a fecal. It's not like a bacterial disease. It's a blood disease. It might be its form.
Genetic.
What do you know about it?
So it's part of I think it's part of the blood cell. It's part of the shape of the African American blood cell, and it is different. It is based on the genome. And I've talked to people who have advanced scientific degrees. This is one of those conversations you can't have, but they did tell me you can design things that only attack certain genomes.
Right.
They only attack certain races. This is something China has thought about. Americans don't think about it. Chinese think about everything. They've thought about our kids with TikTok.
Yeah.
They're thinking about bioweapons, maybe possibly with COVID. I don't know. We're not conspiring here, but
Well, the U.S. has been talking about bioweapons, especially with some classified
But are
documentation
we
that
taking
came out
poop?
for a very long time, ever since the Vietnam War. Now, as far as how clandestine and how overt they are, we don't know, because a lot of it is clandestine. A lot of it is something that we don't know. There's no transparency. There's no accountability, whether on China they just do everything out in the open. But also with, you have to understand, you could get someone's DNA from a nose swab. You could also get it from a behind swab, not a swab, a probe.
Yeah.
You could get it from a butt probe as well. So they most likely, now the Chinese have a whole bunch of DNA samples on all the U.S. diplomats that willingly took their pants off when the Chinese government said, take them off. And they did, which is, I mean, just imagine being a U.S. diplomat and just saying, yeah, sure, China, here, I'll pull
Instead
my
of
pants
being
down.
like, I'll get on a plane and leave right
Like,
now.
Yeah, right.
Instead of having some like dignity and saying, hey, no,
Right.
you're not sticking anything up my butt. I'm
Anything?
sorry. Like have some courage here. The
Luke,
U.S. State
trust
Department
the
had to
science.
release.
Trust the science. That's what it's all about. You got to trust science.
Yeah, I mean,
Are you
that's-
saying you hate science?
China
China's your
here.
friend, Luke.
Yeah. So
Science
that's
is a
where we're at.
big hammer, and if you use it improperly, you can do a lot of harm with it.
Yeah.
This is gross.
It is.
Gross stuff.
Do you think
But,
I
you know,
want to
it's
get an interview?
asymmetrical warfare.
I
Yeah.
want to get an interview with one of these diplomats and just hear it from their own mouths.
What were you thinking?
They'll
They
be like
put it up
shaking
my
and
butt.
rocking back and forth.
Yeah,
They'll be
exactly.
like,
Corner.
they don't make water hot enough.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. Like,
His hands are cold.
at what point would they just kind of look to their supervisor or superior and be like, do we have to do this? Like,
Yeah.
like at one point was somebody just like, actually, we're going to call back to the embassy and we're going to check on this one real quick.
Yeah.
Give us 5 minutes.
What is
Yeah.
it like for U.S. diplomats? Are they like under the finger of the Communist Party when they're over there?
That's a good question.
don't know.
Probably not. I would assume not, only because they spend so much time on American properties, right, on embassies and consulates. The interesting thing, though, this is something I could have expected from the American media, because they very much live under the thumb of Beijing while they're over there. But you would think that the American diplomatic corps would have a little bit more,
Yeah.
a little bit more dignity, a little bit more self-esteem, and a little bit more of an ability to push back and say, no, we're not going to do this. But
Or-
listen, we're living in strange times, and so
America's becoming weak.
yes,
We can. It's
there's
easy
a
for
big metaphor here.
It's easy for Biden to be like, I'm going to bomb Syria, because what's Syria going to do about it? And we go up against Russia because Russia could fight back to a certain degree, but ultimately, what are they going to do about it? China? Oh,
Yeah.
we can't fight China. They'll win, and they're winning. That's the scary reality of everything that's going on.
And I think so much of it is they want to see, like, and this to me more than anything else is they want to see what they can get away with, right? This is in so many ways, this is just a microcosm of the sorts of things that they're doing in the South China Sea, the sorts of things they're doing in Tibet, the sorts of things that they're doing investing in Africa and Eastern Europe. This is a power play, right? So much of this is a power play, and it's how far can we push the big guy on the block, the United States, and get away with doing this kind of stuff. And if we can keep doing this, right? If the Belt and Road program can run through traditional U.S. allies across Africa, if we can muscle our way into Tibet, if we can muscle our way into Hong Kong, why can't we do some rear-end swabs on U.S. diplomats? Why
Or
isn't
just-
that the next step?
It's incremental.
Yeah.
It sounds silly to a lot of people. They probably don't think it's that big of a deal, but it's just one more grain of sand making a bigger heap, where China says we can do whatever we want. We can go to an American and say, take off your pants and bend
Yep.
over right now. And they'll go, yes, sir. Yes, no problem, sir.
When I first heard it, I think yesterday maybe you brought it up. I
I was bringing it up yesterday.
just
I heard
kinda-
about it. I was looking at the sources like, hey, we need to confirm this.
Yeah.
Because we were talking about this a few weeks ago. A few weeks ago, we were saying, hey, China has developed a new way to test for COVID, and it's going up your buttocks 3 inches to swab you. And I'm like, this is not what you think it is. It's coming. It's going to be expanded. And now here we are today. Sorry, Ian, go ahead.
It almost like washed over me yesterday. I was just like, oh, well, whatever. It happened. Let's go. I'm not surprised. But they lied
decay,
about
man.
it. They lied.
Yeah.
They lied about it big time. That's really a big deal, man. This is bad.
Yeah.
It's a decay. It's just like everything seems to be heading down into the crapper. You know,
Yeah.
pun intended.
Literally and figuratively.
Yes, right. I was going to say, yeah. And,
Well, no,
Go
yeah,
ahead.
go ahead.
No, I was going to say, and so much of this too is it's China stepping back and not just pushing to see where they can go, but to forgive the pun, but probing where the weaknesses are, right? Where are the vulnerabilities? Where are the places where U.S. diplomats don't have a level head about them in terms of the decisions they're going to make, the power that they're gonna stand up against, and the things that they're unwilling to do. And I think the more they do that,
thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. If you want to see the full show, come back to this channel, youtube.com/TimcastIRL, Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., where you can leave comments and super chat, and we actually will read your comments on the show. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and if you want exclusive members-only content, segments you can't get anywhere else, go to timcast.com, become a member, and we even have full bonus episodes. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.